And we are back, and we just finished watching 2022's My Father's Dragon, rated PG, with a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes. This is directed by Nora Twomey, and this is based on a book by Ruth Stiles Gannett. This is the story of Elmer Elevator, which is like one of the greatest names ever.
His last name was Elevator?
Yep.
Okay.
Last name.
And how he starts a new chapter in his life with his mother after some hardships, comes to the big city, I guess, to start a new life.
Yeah, what exactly happened? Like, they were in this bustling little town with a happy store with tons of customers. And
all the narrator said is just like things change and things got hard.
Right. They all died and moved away.
Town.
They all died and moved away, and then the town just became a dead town. A ghost town.
Nah, they should have elaborated a bit more on that.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then they come to the city.
You never find out about Elmer's dad. It's just, I guess,
he just never had a dad. And that was like another thing that was strange. Was that it's my father's dragon, and there's a narrator. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Elmer's daughter in the future, but it's sort of like why
is she narrating?
Why is this element even part of the story?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's how the books... I haven't read the book, but maybe that's how the book is presented.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
This wasn't my favorite movie.
This wasn't my favorite Cartoon Salon offering, although it is a beautiful movie. I love the animation style. There's something very harkened to an older time, kind of...
I mean, you could see a lot of it is hand drawn.
Yes, which is beautiful.
Versus relying heavily on. I mean, there clearly is CG in there
and computer stuff. Yeah,
but it has like a very hand drawn look. Same with the character designs. I like Wolfwalkers better.
Yes,
me too.
That one I liked the aesthetic because you saw every once in a while you'd see like the sketch lines in there and it really added to it. Mm-hmm. And the way they animated it. That just seemed like a way more polished.
Sure. Well, I think this project was done during COVID. I think this was something that was done during lockdown, from what I think I remember reading.
Wasn't Wolfwalkers too?
No, Wolfwalkers.
I think Wolfwalkers maybe came out during lockdown, but
I think
it takes
started,
years to make
I think it started way before that. Yeah, I think it came out during like the beginning of lockdown or whatever.
But it was probably in production for years before lockdown.
Yeah.
I think this did feel kind of hastily put together.
It just felt like the story was muddy. I guess there's like some kind of message in there about
it's okay to be afraid.
It's okay to be afraid, and it's okay to sometimes accept that you're not going to have all the answers in life. It just, I don't know. It just didn't hit with me. It didn't resonate.
Fair enough. I think the story too was kind of weak because you're starting from a place. Well, I think there's all that ambiguity, right? You don't, not that it's not important, but they don't ever address like Elmer's father or what happened in the town.
He's dead to them.
I
died.
don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
And it's just kind of hastily thrown together up until the adventure kind of thing. And I think that once you get to the adventure, like the cat sends Elmer to go to meet the dragon and then find a way to make money so that they could realize their dream of having a candy store, how they used to have in their previous, I guess, where they used to live. But that doesn't happen either. I mean, the cat basically sends Elmer on this adventure, and then it's basically to help. It almost felt like Elmer was a catalyst to help Boris realize his journey.
I guess the story was that Elmer had to realize that he's not always going to fix everything. Maybe that's it, and that mission, that journey where he's gonna, I'm gonna solve everything. I'm gonna get a dragon to come back, then we'll have a dragon show at to raise money for the store, and then he's presented with, now I have a new problem. Somehow I have to rescue this dragon, and I guess he sort of like fell into the whole saving the island. Mm-hmm. But did he really ever want to save the island, or just get the hell out of there with the dragon? Because when the dragon's wing got fixed, he was just like, yeah, we can get out of here now. And
but
then he started thinking, oh my God, wait a minute, like the sad rhino mom and the rhino baby, and they're all going to die because we're going to leave, and then they go back.
Well, I think at the core, Elmer was a good kid.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
But I agree with you. I feel like the story was kind of muddy. It didn't really make sense what was ultimately supposed to happen. And I feel like if you want to tell a story about kind of navigating the perils of growing up, where you're going to face adversity and disappointments and just learning to deal with things, whether it's the unknown or just everyday little problems that present themselves to you. I think that I agree with you. I think the message here was you can't always fix everything, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be scared about certain things because that's absolutely human. But I think that message could have been told in a better way.
It could have been told in a better way. We could have been given a little bit more of a satisfying finish.
Resolution, yeah.
I don't understand why. I guess they became friends with the landlady. He became friends with the bully
Yeah, it
kids.
seemed like she was like living with them, or was she just fixing something?
She
for
was
them?
fixing something at the end, but it seemed she was more invested in them because she was
definitely
out
more
in the
familiar
rain,
with them.
Yeah.
covering them with her own umbrella. So yeah,
Dad said that he should have ride horse and then killed those little girls.
It's Boris. You just called him horse.
Boris. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the thing that is going to make me give this a higher grade is the voice actors. I think all the voice actors in this were really, really good. In particular, Elmer and Boris. I think the friendship between those two is firmly delineated, and
I don't know. I don't even know about that. I would say the voice acting was fine, but I didn't really get any sense that, oh, these guys are like great friends now. I kind of found Boris annoying.
Me too. He was more likable at the end, but in the beginning he annoyed the crap out of me.
why?
I don't know. It was just something about him. He just wouldn't shut the hell up.
He wouldn't shut up. He was nosy. He
couldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, he wasn't a very likable character, especially for somebody who and just the way he acted. It wasn't. I mean, he was basically a prisoner being forced to lift an island over and over and over again in fear of being burned to death by fire. I don't know. Just nothing about this movie really hit with me. I didn't really like this.
I wanted Quan to die.
Yeah, Quan, he was a pain in the ass.
I wanted him to sell.
Ian McShane was good.
I love Ian McShane's voice.
Once again, you got this whole muddy thing of this. He's like this benefactor, benevolent gorilla trying to save everybody's life, but he's enslaved this dragon to lift an island up again and again and again.
What's that Greek mythology?
Which one?
Oh,
So many.
the guy who's like pushing the rock up consistently.
I guess Sisyphus.
Sisyphus.
Yeah.
Stupid name.
I'm sure it means something.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me like
it
that. It was like
a
a fool's
Sisyphean
errand.
task.
Yeah, it was a fool's errand.
The dragon would lift the island up, and then it would slowly begin sinking again. And apparently,
It got worse each time.
it got worse each time. And there was a solution at one point that makes the island stay above
Float.
water for 100 years. And previous dragons had done it. I didn't understand if his brother had done it. Why didn't his brother tell him how to do it?
Well, because didn't you hear at the end, like he's like, your job is to write what I've done so that in 100 years
No.
to happen
You're missing my point. The dragon's brother.
Mm-hmm.
The dragon's
Yeah, he
brother
even said
had
that-
done it.
He's called like Horatio. He said that guy brought him tangerines when he came back. So he could have told him about how he did it.
He should have just told his brother, hey, when you get to the island, fly into the flaming hole.
Well, maybe if the brother didn't realize that was going to happen again and didn't bother to tell.
This is something that's been going on for hundreds of years. This fable did not make sense.
Maybe his brother died before he could
Maybe his
tell
brother
him.
died. That's
He
true.
brought him tangerines.
He spoke to his brother.
He died.
I know,
In
but
fact,
maybe
he was going
He
back
could.
to
He
his
literally could have
home to be with his
said
family.
that as he was giving his brother the
Yeah.
tangerines.
Hey, brother, how did you become an after dragon? Oh, I flew into the hole, and it saves the island. It's not like a big long instruction list. It's not like you got to go to the magical island.
But maybe
and collect
that's
the beans
part of
and-
the
Oh wait,
thing.
maybe he thought the turtle would tell him, and he thought the turtle would live.
That's a jerk move. Go to the island. The turtle will let you know.
Yeah, turtle did.
Why can't you tell him?
Well,
It's
maybe
not like
he
as though
did-
it's
didn't-
not like as though the turtle is telling him some sort of like amazing wisdom or something.
Well, maybe he did with the brother. We don't know. Like there's so many blank spaces in this thing that it's hard to really.
This just felt like such a hodgepodge, poorly planned out fairy tale quest that really
Didn't work.
it just didn't work. It's like, I want you to go on an amazing quest. Walk to the end of the hallway and go through the door. And you go through the end of the door and it's like, your quest is now complete. It's boring. It's not that intricate of a story. And to go through all of this stuff just to do what your brother already did.
Well, maybe that's the whole point of the journey, like not to tell him so that
he could
not suffer,
Maybe
but
it
to
was
learn
a
on his
quest
own.
for self-discovery.
Yes.
to become enslaved.
Excellent. Did you hear that? A quest for self-discovery
Self-discovery about what?
about your own being. That's
What does being enslaved have to do with discovering yourself?
I doubt his brother understood that he was going to be
Yeah,
enslaved.
it's not like he told him to go to college.
What?
He got tied up. You go to, when you go to higher education, you find out who you are.
Yeah,
Not
I
always.
thought you meant that in college you become a slave.
No.
Yes, you do.
Growing up, experiencing new cultures, going out, broadening your experiences and your horizon, it builds you up as a person.
You're a slave to student debt.
You don't have to go to Harvard, okay? You can go to Kingsborough, or you can just go on a trip. Travel, do something.
Or maybe never even go to college.
Broaden your horizons in some sort of way, and you will grow as a person. You will learn to see other points of view. You don't need to be tied up and forced to drag an island into the sky. I don't know. We're going on random tangents about broadening your horizons. This didn't work.
All right.
This story did not work.
All right.
Boris was annoying. I didn't like Boris. Elmer, he was an okay character.
What is wrong with you?
I did not. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Gigi.
I did not like it.
Did you like this?
It was kind of meh.
Kind of a. Did you have a favorite character?
No, I didn't.
Favorite scene?
No.
Did you like anything about this movie?
I like the design of the lions.
Oh, okay.
They were cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the character designs were nice, but overall, not for me.
Olive G, what did you think of this film?
I thought it was good.
Yeah, what'd you like about it?
I don't know.
It's great insight.
Did you like the design work on the animation? Did you like the story? Did you like...
It was. I just thought it was a good movie.
You weren't bored at all, or you thought
Not really.
you thought the story made sense to you and you liked it.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite character? Quan?
No.
Olivia loves Quan.
Mom.
Did you pick up anything about the whole message they were trying to give out about?
No.
You didn't get that. Okay.
Well, I think it's a... I think the messaging on this was kind of really subtle.
It was very. That's why I was asking, because
Yeah.
I mean, when all is said and done, it's a kid's movie, and
Yes.
if a little kid is not going to be able to pick up on it, I mean, if an adult is having a hard time picking up on the message, I'm thinking it's really not going to resonate. The message isn't going to resonate with a little kid. They might like the character designs.
Well, I don't
they
think-
might like the story, but even then, it's like there's nothing funny about this movie.
No.
There's no humor in it at all.
It's almost depressing.
It was depressing through most of it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they were trying to milk some humor out of Boris's character, but to me, it just came off as annoying.
Well, I don't know if
The same with the whale.
again.
The
I
whale
think
annoying as well.
most times there's lessons and stuff like this, but I think for this, I don't know that the creatives behind it had the intention that this be like a big moral tale. I think it was just more of like a fantastical like little adventure.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. It was an adventure.
Yeah. I think
There
that
was a quest. I mean, one of the problems was the quest was also muddy.
Yeah.
Was the quest just to get off the island? Was the quest to save the island? That wasn't particularly
I
clear.
feel like I gotta be honest. I feel like the main story in this is that Boris has to find himself. Boris is the most important character in this story, even more so than Elmer.
Boris is the most important character for the island story.
I mean, Elmer was
Elmer's the one who actually has to admit out loud that sometimes you can't fix everything.
right.
You don't have all the answers.
Right.
And I think him saying that to Boris at the end is what gets him to do what he finally does, because he thought Boris was ready to do it. Elmer cast the doubt in him, and then when Elmer goes back, Boris is still just sitting there, and then they have their little heart-to-heart talk, and then Boris does what he does.
But it still felt, even though story-wise, Elmer's point of view or Elmer's story is driving the story, it still felt like the most important key element of this is Boris's journey, because Boris has to learn this lesson of coming into his own, being okay with who he is, owning decisions, whatever it is. I mean, I think you can look at it in many different ways, and I feel like it's still Boris's story, even though in the beginning you get narration from Elmer's daughter.
Yeah, the narration
Like
was
that,
unnecessary.
that wasn't
confusing.
necessary at all.
And the thing is, without the narration, the title of the movie makes no sense.
Right. So, I mean, I wonder what elements of the actual story itself were taken out in order to fit it into this
I honestly, I don't
hour
know.
and 39 or whatever minutes.
Because even as the story as it is, it still doesn't make sense, because Boris is not Elmer's dragon.
Right.
Elmer, it's not like he owns Elmer, he owns Boris, or Boris helps Elmer out at all when they get back to Nevergreen City. They go their separate ways.
Right.
Well, maybe he learned the true power of friendship and what it means to do something.
Yeah, but the title makes it seem like Elmer is in possession of Boris.
Or
You're
that
not
they-
in
or that
possession
they-
of your friend.
Yeah.
Have a more concrete
Lifelong relationship.
Yeah, concrete relationship.
Well, maybe they're still friends. Maybe like
I don't think
whistle
they
to
ever
each
see
other.
each other again. Like they might
Probably
whistle
not.
to
They
each
whistle
other.
to each other.
And to be
That's
honest,
it.
this
You
whole
can't
thing
base
could
a
have just been a
friendship.
fever dream, right? I mean,
Yeah, he could have fallen and bumped his head. And
Yeah.
it could-
This
That's
could have
true.
been a dream.
I
I
mean,
mean, you saw the
New York
cat
City is
talking.
very
Yeah.
dirty.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this isn't the greatest kids movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's not good.
If you want to watch something similar to this or by the studio, watch Wolf Walkers.
Wolf Walkers is excellent. Absolutely. We
How to
looked
Train Your Dragon.
No.
That's a cute
It's
movie.
a cute movie.
Watch
Yeah.
Wolf Walkers.
Wolf Walkers better, though.
I think
Absolutely.
it's better.
I want to watch How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay, we can watch that next.
No.
Let's go around the table, I guess, and get impressions because I think we're
done.
I think we've done dissecting this. I'm going to start with you, 1 to 10.
I'll give it a 4.
A 4. Why?
I didn't like it. I'm not going to say this is a bad movie. I'm just saying it's not good.
What could have made it better?
A better story. Like I said, the title makes no sense. Because it was named that, they had to throw in the narration, which added nothing. It was in the beginning, the very beginning, the very end, pointless. The quest was muddy. It was like, I'm going to save the dragon. But in order to save the dragon, everybody on this island has to die. Okay, I'm cool with that. No, we're not cool with that. Oh, wait, the dragon hurt himself, so now we have to save the island. It just, you don't want your cute kid character making these decisions where it's just like, all right, well, everybody dies. That's cool. I'm going to have a dragon show. I'm going to make money. That's and he's not portrayed as like a selfish little monster kid. Like if he was like
those kids from across the street.
If there was some story arc where Elmer was this terrible little snot-nosed bastard, and by the end of the story he realizes he grows empathy and understanding and sees other people's point of views and learns the nobility of self-sacrifice. Okay, then you got something. But Elmer was always portrayed as like this nice kid who really wanted to help his mom out and stuff. And then for him to just be like, I'm going to get this dragon and everybody here on this island could just die. He never says it like that, but
it's implied.
It's implied, yeah. And it's and then he saves the dragon, and then they're really trying to make the dragon lovable. He's just a pain in the ass. He's just a useless pain in the ass.
He's drawn super cute. I mean, I could see
he was drawn
tons of merchandising with like
I've
little
seen
plush.
cuter dragons.
I gotta be honest, the character
dragon
design,
is super
the character designs in the character designs that they had in Wolf Walkers were way better.
Yes.
And to me, this dragon.
Well, I think this was.
To me, this dragon was like a very generic design, especially the little.
Yeah, nothing really
stupid
personalized
wigs.
about it.
Well, I think, okay, so even though it's the same studio, very different stories, very different takes. I think that, I agree with you. I think Wolfwalker is more polished. I think more thought. Well, not more thought, but I think it's a more fleshed out project. I think for this one, it might have still been fluid. I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that you'd want to have addressed aren't addressed, and I think that it's sort of an incomplete film because I think that maybe they had the kernel of an idea of what they wanted to say, but getting that story on paper and then on the screen, I don't know that it translated well. I think, unfortunately, here, I agree with you. I think the story itself is very, very muddy, and I think that to make this better, I wonder what I would have done. What would I have done? I agree. I think the narration should have been completely cut out. I like Mary Kay Place, but sorry, you're off the island. Get rid of that element. I think you start with, you introduce Elmer and his mother, and that scene, it was fine in the beginning, but maybe even shorten that. Maybe do it like one of those things where all the exposition is done in the beginning with the titles, and you get that out of the way. So this way, when the titles are done, you just jump right into the story, and then you can just jump into them in the new city making plans to start a new adventure, right? The mother in the beginning seemed very, what's the word I'm looking for? Hopeful and positive and stuff, and then after a while there's that scene where she's like going through all the quarters in the jar trying to get a job, and it just doesn't pan out for her, and that, like, that sequence I thought was really well done because it speaks to a lot of truths that people go through. I think there's a lot of instances of people not being able to make ends meet, and just the stress of that, especially when you have another person relying on you. So being the single parent, having to always shoulder the responsibilities and all the troubles, that come up. There has to be a breaking point. And I think that that's really well done here where she snaps. You don't see that a lot in children's films, but I think that sometimes you can't shield kids from things, or you shouldn't shield kids from certain things. And I think that children also, at a certain point, you can start having honest conversations with them like, oh, we can't afford to give you a crazy birthday party because someone got laid off, or there was a death in the family, and we're going through stuff, or we're living in a time of a global pandemic, whatever the case may be. And I think that there were things here that worked. I really liked all the voice actors. I liked the design of the animation. I liked the muted color palettes. I think it lent like this sort of melancholiness to the story. However, I agree with you. I think the story itself was very muddy and just not very put together. I think what the creatives here should have done was come up exactly with what they wanted their messaging to be and then work around that.
So what would you give it?
I would give this a 5. I think it wasn't the worst thing I'd ever seen. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but I think it's worth watching. I think if you like animation, if you want to get into animation, I think this is something you should absolutely check out, only because of the technical parts of it. And also kind of like what we do here. We talk about story structures, and sometimes we break it down. If we love something, we gush about it, but then in instances where we find fault, we try to come up with ideas where something could have been made better. And I think for that, it's worth looking at. Olive G, 1 to 10.
I give this a 7.
7. What about you, Gigi?
5.
A 5. A 5, a 5.
Average.
A 4, and a 7. I think it's not a perfect film. Absolutely not. But I think that there are things in it that could appeal to people. So I would say check it out. I'm sure you would say pass, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd say go watch Paddington 2 instead.
Go watch Paddington 2. Go watch Wolfwalkers. There's a lot of good animated movies out there. This one, like I said, it's not bad. It's just not good.
Okay. All right. And that's it from us, and we will bid you all a
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
good night.
Butthole